Hi, I'm Mr. Franklin and welcome to this video. This is going to be homework 4.3.6, power, concept questions and 7-step problems. And this is the 7-step problem number 3. I'm going to work through it fairly quickly and show you how the algebra works on this one. And this one is probably the most challenging for beginning algebra students. So it's definitely worth a watch. All right, so we've got an R2-D2 gas, we've got a 7-step problem. So I'm gonna read it. 100-watt light bulb is left on and it does 10,000 joules of work. How long was the light bulb on? So we're talking about power is what we're looking at. Okay, because I saw watts and I hear how long something was left on. I'm thinking power. So let's read it again and see if I was right. I could be wrong. Let's check. 100 watts, that is definitely a power. Remember, the W is after a number, so it's got to be watts, got to be power. 10,000 joules, joules is a type of work, okay? And how long was the light bulb on? In this case, long could be distance or time, but in this case, it is a time. How long did we leave the light on? All right. The picture here is very difficult to draw until we get into our electricity unit and we can talk more specifically about how this works with electricity. So we're just going to draw a light bulb and give it a rating. Power equals 100 watts. Work equals 10,000 joules. And time is what we're wondering about. And you might be asking yourself, how is a light bulb doing work? How are things being pushed over a distance? There's things called electrons that are being pushed over a distance. So that is basically how it works without going into all the details. So we've read twice, we've drawn, and we've labeled our drawing, and now we're going to do our guess. Given unknown equation, substitute and solve is the acronym. Givens, we've already written it, but guess what? We are all about habit patterns and having good habits when we're solving physics or engineering word problems. So you should still write your table, because there's always things that come up to us later where the table can actually reveal some things that the picture does not, and vice versa. So just a good habit, you should always write the picture and label it as best you can, as well as the table with your givens and your unknown. Next, we're going to pick an equation. So we're going to go to our equation sheet and look for an equation. And I'm actually going to, you should really keep working down the page, but I'm going to come up here and work over here so that you can actually see what I'm doing. And that way I don't run out of room. So I'm picking an equation. I need an equation that has power, work, and time in the equation. And that equation, imagine that, this is the power homework. So it is still the same equation. Power equals work divided by time. So now we're going to substitute. So power, in this case, is 100 watts. So put it in parentheses. Writing this on the trackpad is not always easy. So let me start that over. So I put parentheses down for the P, and then I plug in the number, put parentheses down for the work, and I do have a work, so the work is 10,000. 10,000. See right here, there's the work right here. Okay, and then I need a time, and I do not have a time. Time is question mark, so I'm going to just write the variable because I don't know it, and I got to solve for it. Okay, so I'm going to do it correctly first, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to show you what you might have done if you did it wrong, but I want to show you how if you follow the math rules, it should become apparent that you made a wrong choice, and then that you should then not be afraid to start over and try again, okay? So that's one reason why we do the steps, so that when you find a mistake, you don't have to go back and start over with all the steps, okay? So let's do it correctly the first time, and then I'll show you how to work through a mistake if you make one. So we're looking for something where time equals something. But if we move any of the other numbers, time is on the bottom of a fraction and it will not look like this ever. So we have to move the variable first, which is what you normally do not do in algebra. But in this case, we are actually going to move the t. We're going to multiply both sides times t first. So t divided by t equals 1. Okay, so we say it cancels. And so now we have 10,000 equals 100 times t. So I'm just going to flip those around, because if I have 2 times 3 or 3 times 2, it's still the same answer, right? Okay, so 100 times t or t times 100, same answer because we're multiplying, okay? So I can switch those around. All right, now it looks like something I can solve. I can solve that. So I've got 100t equals 10,000, so I divide both sides by 100. And what you get is t equals 100 seconds. You plug that in your calculator. 100 seconds. And that is our solution. So we've given unknown equations, substitute and solve, and I have a solution. Now this one, because it can be confusing with the algebra, this is a really good time to do kind of a last minute check. Does that make sense? Okay. And you can even do it just by looking at the numbers. I have a large amount of work, so you can kind of think through it. But for most of us, it's probably easier just to go, well, okay, let's check. 10,000, whoops, back to the pen, 10,000 joules divided by 100 seconds. Plug that in your calculator, and guess what? You still get 100 for your power, 100 watts. Is that what we started with? Yes. If you did this wrong, what you're going to find is you might have had a wrong answer, okay? And then that means, oh, I better go back and figure what I messed up. Most likely, you either messed up in your substitution or you messed up in the algebra steps somewhere, okay? All righty. So that's the correct way to work it. What I want to do is kind of reset back to our substitution step and work through it incorrectly to show you how the math tells you that you're doing it wrong and how to work through it, okay? Because some of you will so I urge you to watch this next step with caution, because for some people it actually confuses them more, and that's why I'm showing you at the end of the video. So let's go back here. It's a nice thing about drawing on a computer. I can just undo. So this is where we were at, and this is where most people make their, if they substitute correctly, this is usually where the first mistake comes in. Okay, so normally when I ask this question, what do we do for our algebra? The first answer usually is, let's divide. And I'm like, divide by what? Because you always divide, right? So usually most people will say we should divide by 10,000. We should divide both sides by 10,000. Okay? So let's do that. Now what happens is people have in their mind what should have happened, and they just go with what they thought would happen, and they don't actually follow the math. Okay? So from here on out, you should follow the math. What's 10,000 divided by 10,000? Well, that cancels and that cancels, because 10,000 divided by 10,000 equals 1. What that means is that's now 1 divided by t. Okay? Notice that it's not t equals, it's 1 divided by t. Why? Did we move the t out from under the division line? No, we did not. So it has to stay there. And then 100 divided by 10,000 is 0.01, is a hundredth. Yep, 100th. So in a sense, we've like reduced our numbers or whatever, but we're still left with the same basic problem. We have t on the bottom of a fraction and we got nowhere with it. Okay? So as soon as you see that, you're like, well, okay, I did the wrong thing with my algebra. So I'm just gonna, personally, what I would do is I would just mark through that. I would just mark through that. Okay, well, that was wrong. And I go, well, okay, I know the equation is right. So let's check my substitution. 100 equals 10,000 divided by t. I'm pretty confident that's the correct substitution. Okay, well, my algebra step must have been wrong. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to divide by 100 on both sides. So that's usually what most people tell me. They say, well, let's divide by 100. Okay, well, let's do it. 100 divided by 100 cancels, which equals 1. 1 equals 100 divided by t. Okay, so the t winds up going nowhere and we're still in the same boat. So no matter what, you need to move the variable first. Okay, if the variable is on the bottom of a fraction, guess what should probably be moved? The variable on the bottom of the fraction. Okay, there's always exceptions to that rule, and hopefully you won't get into them until you're stronger in your algebra, but that's one you should know. Okay, all right. But this is why we're beginning to get into the things that why it is necessary to do each step, so that you are careful and that you are meticulous. And if you pay attention to the details, you're less likely to make a mistake and you're more likely to get it right the first time. And I like getting it right the first time because that means I only have to spend 2 minutes on this problem instead of 20 minutes. Okay? All righty. If you need more help with that or more practice with that, I can certainly arrange for that, but you need to come see me during tutorial time so we can work through that. Because I also have some alternative explanations on how to solve this. But you need to come to me during tutorials for me to do that, to explain that to you. All right, that's all I got. See ya.